How was the attendance this year?
Attendance was good. Conference sessions were up. I don't know the full attendance for the exhibit hall because I don't get that to a couple days after. But all in all, we still had a lot of people from many places. We had folks coming from 20 plus hours away, which is pretty incredible. And we still have a big mix of media and entertainment, broadcast, education, and enterprise. Enterprise is still a pretty good segment of our show.
And then how have you heard in terms of the reception on the panel sessions, the keynotes?
The keynotes were good. I haven't taken a look at all the feedback forms. Sessions were good. I really judge a session based on how much information did the attendee give. Did they speak intelligently and intelligibly? We strive to really make sure that nobody does a sales pitch. And we also make sure we don't stick 7 speakers on a 45-minute panel. I still don't understand that model a lot of conference session organizers use. So we keep it small, we keep it tight, we keep the conference topics extremely focused, and try and provide attendees with something really valuable. We had a little over 60 exhibitors, so our exhibitors keep going up each year. You can see all these sponsors behind me on the board. So the traffic keeps growing. What we're really trying to achieve with the show is small, steady growth. And we've always said from day one that we are going to focus on the quality of the attendee first, and the quantity will come over time. So we don't think you need to have 10,000 attendees at a show. We're getting between 3,000 and 4,000 attendees each year, and for us, that's really good.
And then any sort of recap on just any themes involved based on what people you talk with?
A couple different themes. So first and foremost, content delivery networks. There's so many of them here. There's so much money being raised. I did 2 sessions about the CDN market and CDN pricing. So that was obviously a big theme. We're seeing a lot of CDN. P2P was another theme as well. People are still trying to figure out what is the business model there. Outside of that, we saw a lot of enterprise users talking about user-generated video. So people come to the show thinking we're talking about enterprise-only webcasting, but we're talking about how can the enterprise organizations use some of the tools and services that are being used by consumers and put that into the enterprise market and into their organization. So that's a nice mix. It's not just about corporate webcasting.
And then how does each conference, does it build to the next one? Did any lessons learned that go to New York?
A lot of lessons learned. I try and take as much feedback as possible. I look at every single feedback form. I speak to everyone who's providing feedback, good or bad. I prefer bad feedback so I can fix any issues. The shows are a little bit different in that East is a little bigger. You have the walk-in traffic at East. It's in Manhattan. West typically tends to do more education enterprise. East tends to do more media, entertainment, and broadcast, naturally. The broadcast heart, the city there. And also in East you get more Wall Street and financial analysts than you do on the West Coast.
And then I also heard a lot of content. There's a lot more focus on content and advertising.
A lot more focus on content and advertising. I'd say 3 to 4 shows ago, about 2 years ago, we made sure that we are including a lot of independent content creators. Those are the folks who are really creating some good content on the web. So, Ask a Ninja, all those types of folks are the ones that we invite to speak. We had the Equal guys this morning doing the keynote. So there are a lot more content creators at this show than there were 2 years ago. And part of that is just the focus of the show. We're no longer covering government. We're no longer covering radio. We're staying pretty focused in terms of the vertical markets we're going after. This is the 10th year the show's been around since it was originally founded, and the 6th year that we've been running it. So it continues to grow, and we're still here.
And then just any sort of recap, anything we'll see throughout the rest of the year, just in terms of the industry? Any forecast at all in terms of?
There's a lot of things. You really have to break down what segment of the industry, what product and service. We've seen a lot of announcements lately just in terms of H.264, Microsoft saying they'll announce support for that later. The funding that's gone into the CDN market. We've seen a lot of the advertising networks talk about how an advertising platform or an advertising network is very different. That's a good thing. We had folks like Next New Networks here talking about syndication and distribution. So there's
For your
imagination. There's just so many different segments of this market where things are changing. The biggest thing I try and get people to always walk away from this show with is all this technology is great, but the bottom line is there needs to be a business model behind it. So that's what we're really focused on is let's talk about the technology. It's cool, it's great, but let's really focus on how this is going to turn into a business.
That's great.
Thanks, Larry.
Yeah, thank you.